Okay, let's get into the movie then.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, let's do that. So, um, just warning, we're going to spoil complete of the Ant-Man film. So just click off the podcast and come back later. All right. So, um, this is kind of fascinating. So, Ant-Man is the 12th film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe when it came out in 2015. Um, Obviously, we're going to discuss the production problems or like
Yeah.
creative difference, obviously, with
hmm
Edgar Wright. Um, we're going to get into that. And I think this and the sequel are the only two MC films I did not see in theaters. This is the only time
Oh.
yeah. So that would say something to you that I just did not care about those films or the characters of
hmm
Ant-Man. Really sorry, but that's just true for me. I just
All
it's
right.
I honestly you can pick up that I like Edgar Wright, and I just was very disappointed to let him go. Um, so Will, what's your overall thoughts on the film and like how high or high low is like in your ranking of the MCU films? Go ahead.
It's not that high.
Oh, how
Yeah.
hello.
I it's not that low. It's like pretty middling in the MCU.
Mm,
I don't know. It's probably in the lower half. Like I was again disappointed by the depiction of um Hank Pym, and I don't know. I don't think there's that much that like stands out about it. I thought the villain was weak, um, but I really liked Scott Lang. I liked the parts with Lang and his like family, like with his daughter and his ex-wife. Um,
hmm.
uh, Lewis is funny, or
Yes,
Louise.
yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, yeah. Um, but no, I wasn't too crazy about it. Um,
okay,
I love the second one.
okay.
Um,
uh, okay. You so explain why you like the sequel. I'm kind of curious now. Like,
it's um, it's just fun. Like it's just a pure like popcorn flick.
mm,
Um, and I feel like the first one wasn't sure if it wanted to like make fun of the Ant-Man concept or try to like take itself seriously. And the second one was like, no, this is an Ant-Man movie and it's gonna be like fun and whimsical and just like like a heist movie. Um,
mhm.
they just like went for it. And it was fun to watch. Whereas the first one, it doesn't really feel like it knows what it wants to be.
Okay. So I think you and I are going to be the opposite of this. I think the first film is better than the sequel because
Okay.
what you say about the first film is exactly my problem with the sequel. It I mean, everyone was is a family film. Like, I mean, it knows that. My problem with it, it doesn't have a focus that the first film has. Like,
Mm,
I, I, the first MF film for me, I enjoy it because it at least had like identity and like has the heist thing. Um, eh, the especially with these two films, I feel like they're very plot driven, and that's where they kind of faltered for me in
mm,
terms of the MCU films. And especially the like character interactions. Like I can take it or leave it, especially with the Hank and Hope relationship.
yeah.
Like I should care for it, but then at the same time I don't
Mm,
for some reason, and it's because I'm not getting the like the context of like I know that like like Hope thinks he's not like laying her into the plan of stopping Cross and or be like the Ant-Man persona over like role instead of give it to her, give it to this random person. Like I get that,
mm,
but then I didn't like. I don't understand why Hank doesn't allow it. I guess he's trying to protect her, but like I need more information of this relationship. And just in general, I just didn't care for Hope. I I think Evangeline Lilly, the actress,
Hmm.
like does a good job, but like I just don't think her performance kind of like entice me with this character, and so like she's like my least favorite female heroine we have in the MCU,
Okay.
and I uh and honestly I think with the first one I prefer more of the shrinking stuff here than the sequel. I feel like it was like the fight scenes here were way more like dramatic and
Hmm.
like energetic and like just more creative than the sequel does for
Mm.
me. Um, and then I I I like Luis, but like I think Luis was way funnier in this first film than the second film.
Yeah,
Like
I would agree with that.
yeah, like I just think um that whole thing, and then and just overall I feel like the film looks visually appealing than the second film. Like the second film has like this gray and like very muddy color palette, where this
Oh,
film has like the 60s kind of feel to it.
oh
Like,
man, I feel like this one's very gray.
well, I mean, in certain areas, I mean, I, well, actually, to be honest with you, I think these first two films have actually the best cinematography of any of the MCU films.
Ooh,
Uh,
no, no.
oh, no. Oh,
I
man.
would say, oh man, I think Thor Ragnarok's probably my favorite in terms of cinematography.
Mm, okay.
But I
Um,
mean, that's never been like a strong point for the MCU. But
no, no.
um,
I I think from I'm sorry. Um, Iron Man
Iron
from
Man is good.
yeah, like Phase One from Iron Man to Captain America: First Avengers, like photo photo photography looks great, and then Phase Two is kind of like iffy. But Guardians, the first film and the
Guardians
second,
is good. Yeah,
yeah, it's very good. And then Black Panther, I think, is really great. Um,
yeah. The CGI, not so much, but like
yeah, exactly.
the composition of the shots are good. Yeah, good
Yeah,
ideas there.
yeah. Um, yeah. I guess. And then the
I like the
special.
Spider-Man movies. Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I think the Spider-Man movies look good.
Yeah, I think they look good. I think like No Way Home was my favorite one. Um, I
Okay, yeah.
I maybe because there's just like a lot more visually. I mean, because they had so many of the villains and just the
Yeah.
environment was just a little more organic than the first two Holland films. And then and I think that's where I could stop. You know,
Hmm.
and then like from like the Incredible Hulk and Captain Marvel, and it's where it's like the worst, and and then these films, it's kind of like iffy. I guess when I'm saying why they're the best is because the suits look better, and like I actually really like the costumes here. I think they're the best. Like the costumes look very integrated in the CGI and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Uh, because sometimes the uh, like the muddy color palette sometimes makes the costume look awful. You know,
Hmm.
especially like a good example of that is the Iron Spider, the Spider-Man Wars in Infinity War and Endgame. Like, oh my god, it's like all over the place with that color palette. Um,
Mm.
but
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah,
I do wish the costumes in this movie were, or in the Ant-Man movies, were a little like brighter,
mm,
especially the Wasp's costume.
yes, yeah, I have that problem as well. Despite me, I like Ghosts. Um, like I
Mm.
think they did a good job of adapting the character, and like the costume looks like the comic books.
Hmm.
But you couldn't add like maybe more colorful, like lines and I don't know, like palette to balance the gray stuff, whatever.
You could have made it white instead of like gray.
Yeah. But yeah.
Make it pop a little more.
A little more. I guess. So with this film, because it's kind of funny. Let's kind of get into the Edgar Wright thing, because that's like the most famous thing about this film is like obviously this film was way before the MCU was created. Like this was part of the Marvel Studios like early like attempts of making films.
Yeah,
like
supposed to be part of Phase 1.
Yes, and like if you've seen the footage or like in YouTube, like you see like the 2006 comic book panel with the first time seeing Cannavale and then MCU Marvel Studios panel. You see Jon Favreau for Iron Man and then Edgar Wright as Ant-Man.
Yeah,
and like from this to 2015 was like 8 years of development.
Yeah,
yeah. So, what was your oral opinion of Edgar Wright in this film, and like his unfortunately his left of the film, and all that. Like, let's go from there.
Yeah. I mean, I want to start by saying that I love Edgar Wright, and he's one of my favorite directors. Like, I think it's like Edgar Wright and Wes Anderson are probably my favorite directors.
Oh my God.
But I feel like everything that went wrong with this movie is entirely his fault. like Kevin Feige wanted this movie to be made, and he was like very flexible with Edgar Wright. He was like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like, take all the time you need. And he waited 8 years. And then by the time Edgar Wright was like, all right, I'm ready to make this movie, the MCU was like a thing, and he had to fit within the continuity. And the story that he had made didn't fit in the continuity anymore.
Right.
And that is his fault. Like, he had time. Like, if he had just done it like when it was like originally supposed to happen, he could have made the film he wanted to make, and then that would have been the continuity of the MCU instead of him having to like retrofit it.
So I don't blame Wright for this film and this quality. I mean, I'm actually was the same.
I think they had to.
Oh you go ahead. See, here's the thing. I mean, you're right. I think it was I think Edgar Wright was having trouble like putting his vision and like his style into the MCU, right? And like also like we have to remember like the Marvel community was still going on during this phase, right? So you don't know if they were giving him notes, and like he maybe didn't like them as well, because we know
they did, but it was after he'd been working on the movie for like 6 years and not actually doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, I think if he had made the movie during Phase 1, when they had originally planned on making the movie, they would have had fewer notes to give him because there would have been less continuity between the films.
Yeah.
That he would have to like force into his script.
Well, my thing is like were some of the ideas he was trying to do were kind of taken from him? Like was Ultron in the development stage of Ant-Man, the film?
It's very possible, but I think again that's on him for not making the movie 5 years earlier
Yeah,
when he could have set that up, and instead Joss Whedon set it up.
yeah. I it's like it's kind of fascinating thing to talk about because like I do agree with you. Like for me, it's like he kind of like he has the shadow over the series. Like everyone just always wonders what was the Edgar Wright Ant-Man film could have been, you know? And I just feel like the exit kind of affect your opinion on these two films and the way it kind of went. It's just kind of kind of awful. It's kind of there's kind of like neat things before like Peyton Reed and more of like Marvel Studios took over this movie. Like I think the one that I was kind of surprised was like the Luis montage was all like Peyton Reed, like that was him, and then like the quantum well the quantum well thing that we're going to get later on in the films and Endgame wasn't in Edgar Wright's script. That's kind of intriguing to see. So they were not going to do the microverse. But I guess Wright probably had an idea of like, well, we don't have the name, so we cannot use it. So, but it's kind of funny. And then the other thing, Hope's role was downplayed in I think the Edgar Wright initial script before it kind of like was beat off more after Peyton Reed joined, I think. And so because like the Wasp actress mentioned in the interview that she had a chance to sort of say, "Hey, don't you be off my character, give her really full arc." Like after Rhett departed, like the rewrites kind of give Hope more to do, which she does. I was kind of surprised when I was watching the first film last night. I was like, oh, she had a lot to do here, just like the second film. So and then what else? So you know, I I think after Edgar Wright, I think there's certain changes that made better for the film, but then there's others that I'm like I feel like my biggest beef with this film is the kind of characterization of the characters and just a lack of commitment. Like you got Scott being this like Robin Hood like like um thief. Like you hear the film, like he stopped this like this thing. He exposed this like bank thing or whatever, right?
Right.
At the beginning, that's why he got into the jail when we see him in the present day, right? And then he has like this a degree of engineer, right? In the film, as he stated, yes, he was like a former assistant engineer at the Vista Corp, right? And like he was a petty criminal. Like all of that is so convoluted in the film. Like I think I heard in the commentary, like Rod was kind of frustrated because he was trying to like a lot of the pathos and depth of like Scott is so fitted for Edgar Wright, but then when he left, the MCU kind of tried to make him be more like a friendly, like a more like family friendly kind of hero, and it doesn't match with the whole petty criminal thing that we see in the film. And then going into Hank, this is where like I think Wright maybe had like an idea where Hank was this more like selfish character that like he maybe treated people badly because he was like he think he was right and like he was trying to keep the pen particles safety because he knew the danger of it, but he never explained why, like he didn't allow people to take a look of this formula and stuff like that, right? But then that's not even explained in the film because you don't really understand Hank's motives and like why he's like that, because you say before he's just like an old senile person, just grumpy,
He's bitter, yeah.
Yeah, bitter. Thank you. And and then you get Hope, which I understand what she's doing, but it's so typical and like like we do the very typical like female like just like like why she cannot be a hero and like that is just like so awful. And then with the villain, right? I I like Darren Cross. I think there was so much potential with Darren Cross, and I like this performance. I was kind of shocked. I think he's a better villain in this film over the second film. I that's another thing that I took away is that I feel like Corey Stoll did like a awesome performance, but the villain and his motives and like his role in this film is so convoluted and like just so all over the place. Like his scene, like this is where I was like, okay, this film is not really together as a story, like plot driven.
Mm-hmm.
Is he's in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I heard this from a review or like analysis review. They just put that scene to be like scary and just creepy for no reason. Like that's the only purpose why we have that scene. And I just wish we had more enough. Like I wish we had more time and development of why. Like I think him and Hank's relationship is interesting, but like we don't get enough development. That's my problem with this film. Go ahead. Let's go from what I say before. Like, what we think. Like you agree that just the more complex and like gray area is kind of diluted into this more friendly, like family friendly product we got here.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of that is them scrambling to make the movie after Edgar Wright pulled out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
when did they hire Reed?
Hold on. I see here. Reed was hired in June 7th. That's like he was
June 7th of 2014.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the film came out
year 2015 July.
June of 2015.
Yeah.
Or the like world premiere was June.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
They hired him a year before the movie came out.
Yeah.
And he had to rewrite it and then film it. The movie that Edgar Wright had been working on for a decade. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's hard to do. And my expectations for the movie were low going in because I knew that. So.
Yeah. I have a question. You see this in the theaters?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't see this in the theater. I don't know. It was a weird time for me in 2015. I was like, I wasn't excited for Fantastic. I wasn't really excited for Ant-Man. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it was. I will say, I mentioned Fantastic, and I was getting to the point when we were just talking all over the place with Edgar Wright and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I'm very impressed with Marvel and Disney to even create a cohesive film. Like, at least I can give them that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was, I mean, you mentioned the world premiere. Yes, it had its world premiere in June.
Mm-hmm.
But it premiered in the United States in July.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next month, Fantastic came out, and that was a train wreck, and it bombed completely. If you told me that an Ant-Man film was going to be successful and make more money and be well received over a Fantastic Four film, I'll be laughing and just think it was a joke, and it isn't. I mean, I will say I think I will give like Peyton Reed like like a concurrence of like you did a good job putting together all the things, with the difficult situation that we're in,
Yeah.
Like, and this is where I'll say I like this film more because I think Peyton Reed maybe pushed more of the heist thing, because that's another thing. Like, was the heisting like more the forefront of Edgar Wright's initial concept, or was it going to be more I'm kind of curious. Like, was it going to be more comedy with heist, or the way Peyton did it in this first film? It was fully a heist film, but in a superhero universe. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I think Edgar had been planning on doing the heist thing the whole
Yeah.
time.
Um.
Um,
I. But yeah. Um. Yeah. I. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. But I guess what's your positive about the film? I'm kind of curious.
I really like the character of Scott,
Yeah.
especially his relationship with his daughter. I really like his relationship with Paxton, the
The police,
stepfather.
the
Yeah.
stepfather. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they get along because they could have just very easily made him like an antagonist,
Yes. That's true.
and just the fact that they end up having a very healthy relationship where like they really care about the
Cassie. Um,
Cassie. Yeah.
yeah. I agree with you. I was kind of shocked about that. They could have easily done like the comedic role where we just hate him,
Hmm.
like the one from like the Santa Claus movie with Tim
Yeah.
Allen,
Hmm.
and or Liar Liar with Jim Carrey
Hmm.
with the stepfather. Like, oh my god! But yeah, I totally agree with you. I was kind of shocked that we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then what was the other positive? Um,
The visuals, I think, just like I liked the way that they used Ant-Man's powers,
yes.
especially like the different uses for the different kinds of ants.
Yeah, that was the
That
thing
was
I liked
cool.
about this film. That was another thing I enjoyed. It was the ants. I was like, oh my god. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ant-Man has such a cool power set. Like,
yeah.
especially now, like, okay, especially now that the writers know what ants are. Because like
Yes.
reading the original like Stanley ones from the 60s, he knew nothing about ants, and it was very
Yes.
obvious, and it's very difficult to read.
Yeah.
He seemed to not understand that ants antennae don't function like a radio antenna.
Yeah.
So he was having them like communicate via electricity.
Oh
Um,
yes.
yeah. Oh
Um,
man.
yeah.
Real dumb. Uh,
Oh my god.
great.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Yeah.
even dumber in the first appearance of Edgar, Egghead, Ant-Man's villain. And
Hmm.
like he theorized, like I forgot what he said. Like, he theorized something that will communicate with the ants.
Yeah,
And
I just read
like,
that one. What was it?
yeah, oh my god, it was so
Yeah.
bad. So
um,
yeah, yeah,
oh, it was like they don't they don't use sign language. They must use
yes.
electricity. What? I wish Egghead's supposed to be smart.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I,
like
I,
obviously the insects aren't using sign language.
like sign language. The ants do the sign language.
Oh man.
Oh my god, that
Um.
oh god, that cracked me up when I saw that. I was like,
Mhm.
wait, what? Ants
Yeah.
do?
Oh man.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that was
No.
the.
The early Ant-Man comics just like
Oh my god.
had no I like really missing the potential of like what actually like using science about ants could do. But I really
Yes.
like in the movie that like they have like um they use like the ants that have the really strong bites. They use the ants that
Yes.
can conduct electricity.
Yeah.
Um
Um. And
'Cause,
then
like, those
there's
are real things, like, that
yeah,
ants, the different species of ants can do. And I
yeah,
think that really adds to Ant-Man's power set in a way
yeah,
that's, like, really cool and differentiates him from other
heroes.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like he's doing like a very low key operation than like a bigger one. You know,
Mhm.
like he's kind of like Ethan Hunt mixed with shrinking stuff.
Mhm.
So that's the reason I really dug this film than the second film, because we don't do any of the ant stuff from the second film.
Yeah, I would have liked more ant stuff.
Yeah, like that was the thing that I was so surprised watching the film. Like I saw bits of it in the end where it was kind of cool to see the ants being
Mhm.
active, but it was kind of cool in throughout the film, like learning the way you use the ants, and like there's like the different breeds of the ants. Like it was so cool for me.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Oh my god, it was so great, and I love, of course, we cannot forget Anthony. Like I like
Mhm.
how Scott named Anthony. That was very funny
Mhm.
and so sad that they kill him off, or cross kill him when. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, any other positives? What's the other positive for this film?
Um,
Mm.
uh, trying to remember some more details.
Details. Um,
I mean, I liked his crew.
yes.
They were good comic relief.
I I think they were used better here than the second film. I mentioned I think Luis was way finer here
Mhm.
than the second film for me. Especially like when he first appeared. I like his first line, like, or talking in the van, like, "Oh, how's your Scott reply? How's your girlfriend?" And like he runs down like the list, like, "Oh, my girlfriend left me, my mom passed," and then the part that killed me was like, "Oh, my dad got deported," and then, "Oh, I still got the van."
Mhm.
That was funny, and then, oh my god, what was the funniest thing? Oh my god, it was so funny. And then Luis like montage, like explain how you got the information. Like it was way funnier here than the second film.
Mhm.
Um, because I don't know, like because the second film, because when you don't do the heist, it didn't make sense to have the other two characters back.
Mhm.
I just feel like that just didn't make sense. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, there's some. Oh, I like how he like. Oh my god, there's so many funny moments with Luis as a character. Um,
Mhm.
okay, let me go to my positives. I would say.
Yeah.
Um, I think I think I know you kind of disagree. I really like the production design of the like Ant-Man's layer. And just the overall design of the tech we see in the film, like the
Okay.
pin billing, and like, because I mentioned how it reminds me of the 60s. Like
Mhm.
it looked very futuristic, and it looked like an actual building. Like I
Mhm.
really dug that, because when we get to the second film, right, like they have the shrinking building in the lab,
Mhm.
and I feel like it was so dramatic. Like it, like I mean, or like it wasn't like as impressive as the pin, like the pin tech building. Um, and I really like the way we kind of utilize the Ant-Man powers. Like I like how like creative that we use the Ant-Man powers compared to like um other superhero films. The thing
Mhm.
I like the most about this was the way we get the character like trained. Like this is the best superhero training since Batman Begins. I like how we see Hank learn to fight and like learn how to get used to with the ants, like communicate with the ants, and like how to like shrink, back to growth and shrinking again, like to
Mhm.
get into like small areas, right? Like those whole scenes were really awesome, and that's something we don't get. Like you look at Doctor Strange when he has his training montage, wasn't like engaging or like it was fun. Like
Mhm.
it was just like paint by numbers. Where here I was like very enthralled of the information that Hank and Hope was like explaining to Scott. I
Mhm.
think it was well edited and like show you how, but like particularly precise and like how you can use these abilities. That's something we don't see a lot in superhero films. Like
Mhm.
really getting into like the concept and handle of your powers, then you don't see in other heroes,
Mhm.
and their origin stories.
Mhm.
Um, and then just I kind of like the film's more small scale. Like I like that
Mhm.
it wasn't like the end of the world kind of situation.
Yeah, I agree.
I really appreciate that. Um, like I like how like this is like the Iron Man film that I want, but like it's not well executed. But I like the idea of like selling like this particular product to the raw hands. Like I like
Mhm.
it was well done here. Um, and stuff like that. I like Scott Land here. I think the father daughter relationship is very sweet. I think
Mhm.
his part in the second film made me like at least enjoy that film more because of his connections with Cassidy and stuff really work. Um, so I think that was really good. Now getting to the negatives, I feel like the downfall of this film for me is just the writing. Like I feel like things that like should be important like is not explained enough. And
Mhm.
then my biggest thing is this film has the classic thing of like they cut out a very emotional scene, like they insert a joke into this emotional scene that is so emotional and it doesn't work. Like like when when Hank explains finally to Hope like how her mom died, and then Scott comes in and make a joke, and then it's like totally deflated, like oh my god, like the worst MCU, just like turning into jokes and into like dramatic scenes, and then like it just deflates it. Like that's my problem. Um, and and then the villain, I will say he's like the most underrated villain. Like I just too many cooks in the kitchen with the Darren Cross and Lilo Jacket villain. Um,
Mhm.
I think everything what they're doing with the character makes sense, but I don't need like his mind was affected by the Lilo Jacket suit or formula. Um, this is where like you know why how he got the phone to work. Like I
Uh, I
that
mean, it worked, but it didn't work as well. Like I think that's why he went crazy.
yeah, like that was the part I was when I was watching. I was like, how he got to the experiments that were still going like de-affected, and then all of a sudden with the sheep, the latest experiment, like he got it to shrink. Like I I don't understand that.
I don't know. He tweaked it
Yeah,
enough. I don't know.
yeah, like a lot of this film has a lot of plot holes, and
Mhm.
like I was totally amazed like why. Um, yeah, and then oh, and another positive was the Falcon cameo we get.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that one. I thought it was really neat to have him here, and it was like it reminded me of like a comic book panel. Like you have a guest star, and like he's in this issue, and like it felt like that way, and it was kind of cool.
Mhm.
I like Mackie and his relation with Paul Rudd. I think they had
Mhm.
chemistry,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed those two characters' interactions. And um, I say I like the expansion of the universe. I really like the idea of Hank being like a shield agent, and like
Mhm.
the beginning, the flashback was so cool. I really wanted that film than the film we got here. Um, and the sequel. um, oh, this is the joke that I like. I like Hank bashing that shield agent's face, and it's like, and I love the running gag of "How's your face?"
Mhm.
Oh god, that was so funny. And then like Howard's response, like, "Don't look at me. You're the one that did it. Say it." Oh my god. The de aging thing of Michael Douglas is amazing in this film.
Yeah, and that was that the first time that they had used that?
In the MCU,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Um, because after that we use more of it.
Hmm.
In
Yeah,
Phase Three.
it was really well done.
Yeah, and he looked just like Michael Douglas in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like it was in 89. Oh my god. Yeah, it was so perfect. Um, that whole scene was like very cool to open the film, and then like we don't get the cool stuff like that we saw in that flashback, like especially him and Howard's relationship. I wish we had more of that information. Like,
Mhm.
because like I guess he doesn't like Howard, and like he like in the flashback, I guess he went his back to try to replicate the formula, but like it's not enough for me to understand why he hates him.
Mhm.
I don't know. But yeah. Was what other things we haven't mentioned in the Ant-Man film? I'm kind of um gone on. So I uh, uh, let's see. Oh, the music. Um,
Ooh, yeah.
let's
Okay.
is it
Mhm.
your favorite or least favorite?
The Ant-Man theme, I think, is my favorite theme from the MCU.
Okay, so yeah, same here. I think I enjoyed the score here than the second film because
Okay.
because it's kind of weird. I feel like the sequel feels more like a 90s film, and it feels too much like a TV film at the same time.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, where this film feels more cinematic. And this is, of course, composed by
Christoph Beck. Yeah.
Christoph Beck, who's my favorite composer of the MCU. Of course, he did WandaVision and with the Frozen writers, the songwriters.
Yeah. He also did the music for Frozen.
Oh yes, I think you're right. Yeah,
No, he did, yeah.
yeah, he did. He did. Um, the first and the second film.
Yep,
Okay,
both of them.
yes, I didn't know that. Okay, I knew I recognized his name. I just like I always see his name in the Ant-Man films.
Hmm.
That's funny. And Hawkeye. I think he composed it with the other.
Yeah, he worked on Hawkeye.
Yeah. Very neat. So I think his score here was the best superhero theme. I like the Ant-Man theme. I think it's really iconic, and like I like how he adds the jazz and like
Hmm.
it gets you
I
into the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I just was really excited to talk about it, but you finish your thought.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Um, I love how he has the jazz, you know, orchestra and like all that, and like
Hmm.
it gets you into that vibe of the heist so well. And I
Hmm.
think that's the best thing about this film is the music. It gets you into like it gets me into the action scenes, and it's just so well done in this film. Um, where like I don't want we've been mentioning the sequel. I don't know, like some reason the sequel just doesn't like hit me the right way like this film did for me in terms of
Hmm.
energy. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I really like the soundtrack for Ant-Man and the Wasp as well, but the theme from Ant-Man is still my favorite. My favorite like detail about it is that it'll go from like very quiet to very loud, and it's kind of like
Yes.
mimicking him like shrinking and growing.
Yes.
Um, it's so good.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
just like
so
every part of it is so well planned to like, reflect the character and just like the vibe of the movie. Um, I
yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the best. I think like it has variety, which is something that the MCU scores doesn't have. And like I feel like Christoph Beck does a really good job of that. And it just has personality. That's the thing I like. Just just has this energy that some scores doesn't have anymore. Like I'm happy he doesn't do like drums or like he adds other like instruments to like brighten the feel of the film, you know?
Mhm.
So and then I guess the thing we discuss, what's your opinion of Hope? I haven't heard your thoughts on this character.
Yeah.
I like
She's okay. Like I
okay,
wish we had Janet.
okay.
Like whenever I watch these movies, I really wish that we lived in an alternate reality where I was watching Hank and Janet on screen instead of Scott and Hope.
Yeah. Um
But
my
I think that's a lot because I just like Hank so much.
yeah.
Um, and like Paul Rudd is Scott, so like it's hard to not like Scott.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
Hope is just kind of there.
And there.
Yeah,
Um
I'm like she's all right,
okay.
but
Okay. Um yeah, she's okay. My problem is like I I dug their growing relationship in the film, and the thing
oh,
I hate about the sequel is that they kind of undone it. Like we had to re-say it again because of what happened with Civil War,
hmm
and like
all right,
it's that typical comedy routine. It's like
hmm
and it's just like we don't need that, and
yeah.
I
I
just
although I liked it because I think I liked it in the sequel because I didn't like them hooking up the end of Ant-Man.
oh
It felt
yeah.
very unearned in the first movie, and then when they like reset it and had them
Um,
like slowly get back together over the course of the second movie,
yeah,
that felt more earned and like natural. So like
okay.
I agree with what you're saying about it like feeling jarring given how the first one ended. Um,
Yeah,
but it made like I liked their relationship more in the second one.
yeah. I guess so. I guess my thing with the Hope and Scott thing is like I don't see them like a Cape Crusader like thematic duo like partners like you see like Batman and Robin or like Captain America with the Falcon or Winter Soldier like like
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that with these two, and like and then the ending here like I guess because I like the joke in towards the end of this movie, like, oh, like when Hank say, Scott, yeah, and then he say like you're full of S, and then he's like, and like I think Scott's line is like, I know, it's like it's my favorite joke, and then here is like, it's just I don't know, yeah, like my these films like are so plot driven, and it's like I mentioned earlier, like the Hank and Hope and like that whole plot of those like them as like the daughter and the father relationship in these films is just the least interest in these first two films. Like I care for the Scott and Cassie relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and like I even care more about the Bill and like Ghost relationship, like as like a father and daughter relationship, where these two is just I the Hope and Hank thing is just so uninteresting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that because I don't like that they use Jant as a plot device, and then and like this the reason for Emma and the Ross. Like I didn't like that we had to wait throughout the second film to get Jant, and then we don't use her in the second film, and then we had to wait the third film. It's like, it's just I didn't like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So any more discussion? Like, is there anything else to say about this film?
I think I've said my like everything that I like my like strongest opinions about the movie. So
Okay.
yeah.
Right. I guess I'm trying to say other things to mention. Like apparently the Wright script took itself less seriously. Apparently, I'm looking at this notes I made.
But does that mean that it like was funnier, or that they made fun of the concept of Ant-Man more? Because that's something that I didn't like about the movie, was that they seemed to like not like the concept of Ant-Man. Like there's that Lang, or it was at least in the trailer.
Right.
Lang had a line. It was like, "Can we change the name?"
Yeah.
And that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. I'm looking at the quote, and he's saying like thinking the most defining difference between the two scripts. He say that Edgar didn't take it itself seriously. It said like the script was fun and relevant. Like it was like and then I think the actress that plays Hope say it was like a romp from beginning to end in a classic English fashion. Like I think like the way that they did it was way more mean spirit. Where I think Wright and his like humor couldn't yeah, it was lame, but like at the same time you see it as cool, right? You
Mhm.
know, like yeah, you think about like 21 Jump Street, like there's a running gag, like the classic cliche action trope of like explosions.
Mhm.
Like it's such a funny gag, and then when like Chan Tam's character has this like science thing he had, like how to explode
Mhm.
like a object, and he did it to stop the bad guys from escaping, and like it pays off. Like I think that's what maybe Rice script was trying to do, like certain things, but I don't know. But there was also something here that was kind of interesting. Reed talked about how Marvel allowed him to explore the dark side of Hank Pym. Like I my issue is just the tone is all over the place with the MF films. Like
Mhm.
they're trying to be like comedy, and then they're trying to do this deep and like like character study, which it's just not good at, unfortunately. um I don't know. I mean, I it's kind of tough for me to say like what
Mhm.
it means it took itself seriously. Like every movie of in the MCU film is so like funny all the time, so I don't know, that's just kind of weird.
Mhm.
um oh, and speaking of the casting, Paxton was going to play Patrick Wilson. I do want to mention
Mhm.
that Wilson was in this film before, and when Edgar left, or while this film was in process, I think he had like a schedule conflicts, and so
Mhm.
he left the film. He was supposed to play the stepfather. I
Yeah.
just look at, so that's another point I want to bring up. So wait, if Scott if Patrick Wilson play the stepfather, like was that a good role for him to have? Like
I don't know. I can't really picture anyone other than Bobby Cannavale.
okay, okay.
Um,
um
I think Patrick Wilson would have made a great young Hank Pym.
yes, he could have been a great Aquaman as well. especially with the blonde hair he had and the film Uncle Man as Ocean Master. But yeah, uh, yeah, and yeah. Then I mentioned he wanted the film to stand alone, like he wanted to make the present needs time. Like he was trying to make a crazy premise of into a real world. So that's what's Edgar Wright's idea. And yeah, and this is where I mentioned the Luis montage. Um, the Luis montage was not part of Wright's original script. It was actually devised as part of the rewriting process after Wright departed. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. And same thing with the fight with Falcon. That was also another rewrite thing. That was not part of Edgar Wright original plan. So yeah, and I think that's all because like there's I think that's all like the unique information about this film and like its production problems and all that, So all right, well, anything else to say about Ant-Man the movie, the 2015?
No, just it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. I enjoy it more than you. I think it was fun for me.
Yeah, I don't have anything like I like the movie. I don't want it to sound like I don't like the movie. I don't think it's one of Marvel's strongest.
No, it's not the strongest, but I think the origin story was well told in this film. Like I think that's the thing I like about it, where Ant-Man the Wasp is just all over the place. Like it's just it feels more like a comedy movie. That's the thing. I feel like it feels more like a comedy movie than a superhero film. And that's where I like this first film a lot more, I think. Just it has a more like consistent tone and focus than the second film for me. But we'll discuss the second film maybe a later date. Get into more of that. But yeah. So next week, what topic you want to go into? Do you want to do another top 10 ranking?
What would we rank?
I was thinking two. Do you want to do a X-Men one films or MCU one? So
we could do X-Men.
Okay. Yes, we can do that one. Okay. I think that's good because we can do 10 films and like because they're 3 films, right?
I don't know. Yeah, 13.
Okay. So I think that's enough for us to do 10 films. Okay. All right. So we'll do that then. So top 10 X-Men ranking. All right, that's cool. So thank you, Will, for joining for this podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
So everyone, thank you for listening to this podcast. Maybe we'll be back for another top ranking. Of course, this will be on the X-Men films. So have a nice weekend, all, and have a nice day.